Welcome to all. Before getting into the topics, let me again brief about our course. Uh, we have 5 units, three basics and two intermediate part. In the unit 1, we have 7 chapters, introduction to Python programming and the implementation of print function, literals, operators, variables, input and output manipulations, strings and numbers. And the unit 2 discusses about various decision-making statements, looping structures, operations include logic and bit operators, list, and applications of list with a few case studies and sorting algorithms. So we'll be also discussing the implementation of bubble sort algorithm by using the Python language. Unit 3, we have the introduction to functions, arguments, returning the results, writing functions, tuples, and dictionaries. Unit 4 and 5, we have the intermediate part where the modules are introduced, working with modules, characters, strings, and writing programs and applications using models. And the intermediate part have the brief on the advanced concepts like object-oriented programming, the procedural approach, right? Exceptions, properties, methods, inheritance, and working with files, right? So overall, the curriculum is designed to start from the fundamentals of Python and leave at the intermediate part where we have the briefing on the advanced concept. So we'll be having discussions on basic and intermediate part of Python programming. Okay. Interested, then you may continue the certifications also. So as I mentioned in the last session, this curriculum has been picked from Cisco Networking Academy. So what you learn in this course is about preparation for the certifications. Okay, if you are interested, you can proceed further and complete the certification. Otherwise, okay, you can end up with the examinations and completion of this subject. Fine. Coming to the overview, okay, let me start with a briefing about the Python, history of Python language. Python is basically an object-oriented programming language which was developed in the year 1989. It is ideally designed for rapid prototyping of complex applications. Okay, and has interface with many operating system calls, libraries, and this programming language could be extended to any available languages, so C, C++, Java, and other programming languages available. Right? And coming to the characteristics of Python, Python provides rich data types. We know we have come across the basic data types in C, C++. The fundamental or the primary data types are integer, float, characters, and strings, right? So in addition to the basic data types, it also supports numbers that includes integers, floating point, and complex numbers, so fall under the number category. And we have a special data type called a list, where describes the ordered sequence of items. And we have tuples, strings, set, and dictionary. So Python is supported with rich data types, and it is easier to read the syntax than any other programming languages. Python variables do not need explicit declarations. So kindly note this point. Python variables do not need any kind of explicit declarations. I hope you can collect your programming knowledge in C language, which was taught during the first year. Okay, so first there will be a pre-process statements, right? Include stdio.h, a header file is defined. Then we have main function. The first step inside the main function will be a declaration part. Am I right? The very first statement inside the main function, as far as C programming or C++ is concerned, must be the declaration statement. So the variables used inside the programming languages, statements or instructions must be declared first. Otherwise, we'll be getting an error at the time of execution. So for example, int, right? Let me start with writing the statement. Okay. So int a comma b. Okay, a comma b and terminated by a semicolon. This should be inside the main function. Main function, a pair of curly braces. So inside the pair of curly braces, all the statements are presented. So the first statement to be inside the programming language with the declaration part. So declaration is mandatory in all the procedural and structural languages, whereas Python variables do not need any explicit declarations. Okay, which means the declaration happens automatically when we assign a variable to a variable. When we assign a value to a variable, Python automatically implements its concerned data type. Yes, we don't need to assign a value to a variable. Okay, so Python does it automatically for the user, for the programmer. Python knows the type of the syntax. For example, the quotes to make something to be a string value, or a square brackets to make something a list, or a curly brackets to make something to be a dictionary. Similarly, number without a decimal point represents an integer, and number with a decimal point represents a float. Okay, so Python variables do not require any explicit declarations, as the language itself is planned and designed and implemented to consider its data type at the time of execution. So Python knows the type of the syntax and automatically considers its data type. Fine. And Python is a platform independent scripted language with full access to operating system APIs, application protocol interfaces, and allows more time flexibility. Right? Python libraries in Python are cross-platform and compatible with all the operating systems, Windows, Linux, Macintosh, and IBM Frame. Python supports functional and structured programming language because it is designed in such a way to accept or have the interfaces with many operating system parts. So it supports all kinds of programming, including object-oriented programming. So Python itself an object-oriented programming. Okay, and it supports interactive mode that allows interfacing, testing, and debugging the snippets of code. So it supports interactive mode of testing, debugging, and snippets, which means while typing the statement itself, we'll be knowing whether the statement is correct or not. Unlike C, C++, and Java, errors will be identified, highlighted after it is executed. But while typing the statement itself, whether it's a correct or wrong statement or errors will be highlighted by the Python interpreter. So it is an supports interactive mode and allows the testing and debugging of the snippets of the code. Kindly note that new technical terminology snippets. We know code are nothing but an application. It wants an application, a set of instructions, a part of a branch of a program, a collection of a few instructions is called snippets. Fine. Python is used for many applications. Large companies use Python programming language, including NASA, Google, YouTube, BitTorrent, etc. And Python has become one of the favorite programming for research community because it is widely used in artificial intelligence, natural language generation, neural networks, deep learning, and scientific programs such as statistical models also. The major websites and services, okay, like Dropbox, Silver, Spotify, Pinterest, and BuzzFeed Okay, so they're all written to a greater or middle level or lesser extent in Python. We have also application of Python in other fields like internet applications. The recent, okay, the current applications are developed based on the Python language. It also has been implemented in computer-aided design and manufacturing, three-dimensional part, enterprise applications, image applications, mobile applications, Office, and PIM, personal information managers. So all these applications have been written at a medium level or lesser extent in Python. So indisputably, Python is a clear, effective, and elegant language. Python is a clear, simple, effective, and elegant language. Fine. Coming to the unit 1 with the briefing, let us move on to our course content. Unit 1 basic. The, so we have the first chapter, introduction part. Okay, so in the chapter 1, we have 6 topics. So kindly note, we are into the chapter 1 of first unit. In the chapter 1, we'll be discussing 6 topics. Okay, so kindly note the bifurcations of our curriculum. The 5 units, every unit will have a number of chapters and every chapter will be discussed with a number of topics. So as far as chapter 1 is concerned, we'll be deliberating on 6 topics. Okay, so and in this session, we'll try to discuss the first 3 topics, programming, absolute basics, and the topic 2 will have the comparison between compilation versus interpretation and Python the tool, not a reptile. Fine. So we shall begin our discussion with on what the Python language is and what it is used for. Let us start with the absolute basics. Okay. A program makes a computer usable. Kindly note, a program or an application, or we can also call as code, makes a computer usable. Without program, a computer, even the most powerful, advanced, the latest, is nothing more than an object. Which is similarly like without a player, a piano is nothing more than a wooden box. So a piano gets projected, noticed when an expert or a player works on it. Right? It is true that computers are able to perform very complex tasks, but this ability is not an inborn, it's not an innate. A computer can execute simple to medium and to complex operations as per the instructions or the input provided. For example, a computer cannot evaluate the value of a simple mathematical function by itself. We need to provide the input. To find the largest of 3 numbers, we have to write the program, enter A, comma B, comma C. So the input, the sufficient data instructions need to be provided to the computer. Then only it will execute and generate the output. Okay, but contemporary computers can only evaluate the results of operations by taking sufficient inputs, manipulate and operate data, and results are displayed in the readable format. So these 3 simple actions, right, form a program. So language is the key word. Language is the key word. Language is nothing but the mode in which the instructions are entered, developed, typed, entered, implemented, and the results generated. Right? So language is the key word. Now coming to the comparison between the natural versus programming languages. So we had seen language is the key word. So what is a natural language? A language is means, or it can be also said to be a tool used for expressing and recording thoughts. So in general, language is a means, a tool, a method, or a mode for expressing and recording a person's thoughts. Okay, there are many languages all around us. In fact, hundreds of languages are spoken in our country, and thousands of languages exist in the world. Okay, so that is one. And another language which we use each day is our mother tongue, in which we use to manifest our will and to think about reality. In fact, new words are created every day, and as per the report from the UNESCO and world organizations, they say every day few old words disappear, right? And these languages are called natural languages. Computers have their own language too, called machine language, which is a very rudimentary or basic one. A computer, even the most technical, sophisticated, is devoid of even a trace of intelligence. We could say that it is like a well-trained pet. So the computer is a well-trained pet which responds only to our predetermined set of known commands and instructions. So what we type and execute, which will be reflected in the form of a result. Computer will not do any miracles. We cannot expect. Okay, if you write a program to find the largest of three numbers, and eventually that will result as an output, isn't it? When we write something and we cannot expect some other thing. So it responds only to a predetermined set of known commands. A complete set of known commands that computer recognizes is called an instruction list. So different types of computers may vary depending on the size of their instruction list, and they are different. Okay, and as I said, the instructions could be different language to language, system to system, because mainframe computers need to have a different altogether instructions. Okay, no computer is currently capable of creating new language. So as of now, there is no computers okay, exist which has the capable of creating new language. But things may change soon with the advent of artificial intelligence, deep learning, okay, and machine learning and advanced scientific methods. In future, we may get a computer which will have the capable of creating their own language. The research work is still on. Maybe another 5 years or 10 years, we may see witness a computer which will have the capable of implementing the artificial knowledge and creating a new language. We cannot rule it out, right? So that's about the comparison between the natural language versus programming language. Now, what makes a language with respect to computers? We can say that each language consists of four basic elements, either machine or natural, doesn't matter. But a language is a composition of four basic fundamental elements. Number one, alphabet. Alphabet is a set of symbols used to build words of a certain language. So every language is built upon a set of words, alphabets. So to learn a language, first we must understand the alphabet set, symbols. That's very important. The second fundamental element is lexis. Lexis is also called as dictionary, which means a set of words the language offers its users. So by learning the dictionary, the next level after alphabets, it is lexis. The third is syntax. The syntax provides a set of rules and used to determine if a certain string form a valid statement or not. When we speak English, then there is a grammar, right? We say grammar. Syntax is nothing but grammar. That describes a set of rules, how to make a sentence, how to make a valid statement. For example, to declare a variable, as I mentioned, we start with the data type int, followed by the variables list a comma b comma c, and ended with a colon. This is called syntax. Input statement, print, and within the pair of parentheses, we have to make it scanf and printf. Okay, so every instruction is that describes a set of rules. Okay, so for a simple example has been given in the slide. I am a Python. So which is syntactically correct phrase. Whereas the alphabets, the words are mixed. Okay, I a Python is not a valid statement because it has not followed the syntax of English language. Okay, so the first letter could be a noun and followed by a verb. Then we have the other components. So a verb does not exist as a second part, second thing. So this I a Python am is not a valid statement. Okay. The next component is semantics. Again, a set of rules. A set of rules. If a certain phrase makes sense, this describes the meaning. Please note, syntax describes the grammar and semantics describes the meaning. A word or instruction should be meaningful. When we speak, there should be a message. So the listener, the people should understand what we speak. That's called semantics. So if a certain phrase makes sense, meaningful, then it is called semantics. For example, I ate a down. It makes sense, something I had taken. When the words in the statement are shuffled, I down at ate me. So it is difficult to understand what does it convey. What is the message we understand from this statement? It is not a valid statement. So we need a language in which humans can write their programs and a language that computers may use to execute the program. Right? So a language, irrespective of either it is a machine or natural, should have the four important components, elements: alphabet, the symbols, lexis, words, syntax, which describes the grammar, and semantics, making it sense. That is represents the meaning. Right? Moving on to the next topic is comparison between compilation and interpretation. There are two different ways of transforming a program, converting a program from high-level language, programming language, into machine language. So all the instructions we enter, C, C++, Java, Python, Perl, they are called high-level language, which is almost English-like instructions, statements. Okay, so this language, these statements cannot be understood by the machine. They needs to be converted into their understandable format. So there are two different ways. The high-level programming language can be transformed, converted into machine language. Machine language is nothing but the language instructions which could be processed, understood, and manipulated by the processor. So the first one is compilation, and the second one is interpretation. Compilation is done by a software and application called compiler. This compiler takes entire program and converts into equivalent object code. And this object code is stored in a file. So that's why whenever we complete a program, after execution, we could find a copy of the file with the extension of .obj. A simple example is C, C++, and Java. A program which is executed in C, and we can notice that a copy of the program will be also available with the extension of .obj object code, and it is stored in which the program or the application is available exists. In the same folder, we could get the file .c file, .exe file, .obj file. So the entire program which is converted into object code, and then this object code is processed by the machine, converted into machine language. This conversion process is called compilation. Right? And the second case is interpretation. So here the interpreter, it directly executes the instructions written in the programming or scripting language without converting them into object or machine code. So the interpreter will accept the program and they are directly executed. They are directly converted into machine instructions. So here the source program is converted into object and then later compiled by the machine. Whereas here the source program is directly converted into machine understanding format. So examples of interpreted languages are Perl, Python, and MATLAB. Okay, so we compiler, we have an intermediate part that is object code, whereas interpretation that directly executes all the programs, instructions written in, for example, Python language. Okay, so without previously converting into, so there won't be a conversion process into object code or machine code. So the object code and or machine code will be done with the help of compiler. So we won't get a copy of like the compilation .obj. It won't be available because all the instructions are directly executed. Fine. So in addition to Python, Perl, MATLAB are also fall under the category of interpreters. Now we may ask a question, which is better, this compilation model, or the interpretation model? What will be your answer? So having understood the difference between compilation and interpretation, which will be the best model? Compilation, it takes the program, converts into object code, and later executed. Whereas interpreter, it directly executes all the instructions. Okay. So examples of compiler kind of languages are C++, C++, and Java. And interpreter, we have Perl, Python, and MATLAB. So from the understandings, can you say which model will be the better one? Can you post it in the chat window? Yes. I have got few responses from De Silva. Interpreter is more efficient. Good. Okay. Mehul Jain has also replied interpretation. Fine. Jason David, interpretation. And Shubham Das also answered with interpretation one. Ashish Kumar, interpretation. Alton, interpreter. Madhulada, interpretation. Tejaswini. Vedesh, interpretation. Yes. So almost everyone has replied. Thanks for your kind response. So you have been interactive, okay, with the session. I understand that. Frankly speaking, there is no obvious answer. For your surprise, there is no obvious answer. If there had been, one of these model would have been ceased to exist a long time ago. You may surprise with my answer. Okay, there is no obvious or concrete solution to this, which is best. which is better, either compiling model or the interpreting model. If interpretation is the best model, then the compiling model would have ceased to exist a long time ago. But still C, C++, and Java is widely used. Even if compilation is better, then Perl, Python, and MATLAB would not have become popular. So what does it mean? Both of have their own advantages and their disadvantages. Okay, so there is a forum where full of on the online forum we could have people coming and discussing about the advantages and disadvantages. Okay, compilation is the best model and interpretation is the best model. So you could find a lot of discussions in the online forum, which is best, which will be the better, either compilation model or interpretation model. So actually speaking, there is no obvious answer. If there had been, definitely one would have ceased to exist a long time ago. But both models are widely used in their respective applications, right? So what does this all mean for us? So Python is an interpreter language. Kindly note, Python is an interpreter language. This means that it inherits all the described advantages and as well the disadvantages. If you want to program in Python, all we need to have installed the Python interpreter. We won't be able to run our code without the interpreter. Unfortunately, Python is a free open source. And this is one of the most important advantage, right? Now moving on to the next topic, Python, a tool and not a reptile. What is a Python? Many of you might have studied in your school level, and a few might be a beginner for this course. Okay. We may know generally Python means a large snake. The name of the Python programming language comes from an old BBC television comedy sketch series, which was called as Monty Python's Flying Circus. So just I'm trying to narrate the story, history behind the Python. Right? The name the Python has come. It was from the old BBC television comedy sketch series called Monty Python's Flying Circus. At the height of its success, the Monty Python team, they were performing their sketches to live audiences across the world, including at the Hollywood Bowl. Being a great fan, the author, the creator, named the language in honor to that TV show, Python. Okay, is it interesting? So Python is a widely used interpreted, object-oriented, and high-level programming language with the dynamic semantics used for general-purpose applications. So who created Python? It was Guido van Rossum. One of the amazing features of Python is the fact that in the beginning, it was actually one person's work. Usually, new programming languages are developed and published by larger companies. They employ lots of professionals. And due to copyright rules, it is very hard to name any of the people involved in the project. Okay, so when we say Word, okay, then it's a product licensed corporate material of Microsoft. So it is very hard to name any of the people involved in the project. Python is an exception. Python was created by Guido van Rossum, who was born in the year 1956 in Haarlem, the Netherlands. So some may call us a Holland. Of course, Van Rossum did not develop and evolve all the Python components himself. The speed with which Python has spread around the world is a result of a continuous work from thousands of, very often they are anonymous programmers, testers, users. Many of them are not IT specialists and enthusiasts. Okay. But it must be said that the very first idea, I mean, the seed from which Python sprouted, came to one's head, that is Guido van Rossum. But later, thousands of people, anonymous programmers, testers, users, and it is surprising many of them are not IT pro specialists, and few enthusiasts have all contributed to the development of Python. And another interesting story I would like to share with you. The circumstances in which the Python was created are a bit interesting. So according to Van Rossum, actually way back in December 1989, he was looking for a hobby programming project. Okay, so there was Christmas holidays, vacations, celebrations announced at the month of December. So he was completely free, relaxed from the regular routine of office works. So in the December 1989, he was looking for a hobby programming project that would keep him occupied during the celebrations, okay, New Year Eve, because his office was closed and all he had was a phone, PC, and not much else on his hands. So he decided to write an interpreter for the new scripting language. So what we usually do when the holidays declare, we leave all our studies, we postpone all our academic work, and we spend most of the time with our friends, family members, and we engage ourselves in entertaining, okay, watching movies, outings, and all. But Van Rossum is an exceptional person. So he decided to write an interpreter for the new scripting language, and he had been thinking about lately, descendant of ABC. So that would appeal to all the Unix or C programmers. So those were the times Unix operating systems and C programming was very popular in the US. And he chose Python as a working title for the project because he was a huge fan of Monty Python's Flying Circus. Right? So he chose that Python as a working title for the project and later becomes a history. So that is how it was developed and evolved. So the creator of the Python is Guido van Rossum, who was born in 56 in Haarlem, the Netherlands. So in 1999, Van Rossum defined his goals for the Python. It is expected to be an easy and intuitive, well understandable language and available to all, open source. Simple as like a plain English, understandable to everyone. So that is the reason this language has been introduced in the school level and suitable for everyday tasks, which allows permits to develop a short apps. So about 20 years later, I mean 20, 30 years later, still it is clear that all these intentions have been fulfilled. Some sources say that Python is the third most popular language in the world, while others claim it is the first. Either way, Python still occupies a high rank in the top 10 of the programming community index. Please note Python is not an young language. It is mature and trustworthy. It is a bright star in the programming firmament. and time spending in Python is a very good investment. Right? And what makes Python special? It is easy to learn and it is easy to teach also, easy to use because very small apps can be created with the help of Python. Easy to understand and easy to update because it's open source. Of course, Python has its own drawbacks also. Nothing is exceptional in the world. And I would say no technology is perfect. There is no ideal system, 100% perfect system in the world. It will be difficult to design or develop. It is beyond our brain's capacity. Every system will have their own drawbacks, and Python is no exception. So Python sometimes it may not deliver the exception performances, and it may also sometimes resistant to simple testing techniques also. Fine. And Python rivals. So Python has two direct competitors with comparable properties and predispositions. They are Perl and Ruby. Perl and Ruby. Perl is again an object-oriented programming language, a scripting language originally authored by Larry Wall. And Ruby, yet another a very popular language, which has been used by a lot of programming community. So another scripting language originally authored by Matsumoto. Perl is more traditional, conservative than Python, and resembles some of the good old language, like similar to C programming. In contrast, the Ruby is a more innovative and more full of fresh ideas like Python. So Python itself lies between Perl and Ruby. And again, the internet is full of forums with infinite discussions on the superiority of one of these three over the others, Perl or Python or Ruby. Of course, these discussions and comparisons will remain ever. It is not going to be changed. Fine, right? So with this, we have uh, stop here the synchronous session. We started with the unit 1 and we have covered the first chapter, the three topics what we have covered for programming, the absolute basics, where the language is a keyword, comparison between compilation interpretation, and the history of Python. Okay, so the inventor and a tool, its advantages, applications, and disadvantages. Right, so these are the three topics which we have covered in this synchronous session. And next session, tomorrow, we'll try to uh, discuss the remaining three topics of the chapter 1. Fine. Any doubts?